Cassette decks, massive part of the audio industry in the 70s, 80s, 90s ish. This one this is a really old one. It's a top loading type, so you couldn't put this in your hi-fi stack. It sits in its own nice little wooden plinth. So I saw this popped up on eBay quite cheap, so I grabbed it. It didn't work when I bought it. It needed a new belt. So this is a look around the internals, primarily at the mechanical bits of the cassette mechanism, because it's quite an interesting sort of bit of mechanics, just to see how it all works and how it all went together. So down here, this is the erase head. This is the recording and playback head. Over here we've got a rubber wheel, which is the pinch wheel. And we've got this little metal shaft here, which is the capstan. And that's attached to a big flywheel on the other side, which is driven by a belt which hooks up to the motor. So the flywheel helps it keep the speed constant. So the problem with this, one of the problems with this deck is it sounded really muffled. So I put a new tape head in it, and it's got bad wound flutter, which the internet says is due to this wheel here being knackered, which it may well be, but I've got a new pinch wheel on the way to see if it makes any difference. But the tape head, this is the old tape head. You might be able to see, but the front of it, there's a hell of a lot of muck on that, which didn't clean off. You need to be careful if you change the tape head. Is that this screw here is just a normal screw, so you just do that up tight as normal. The screw on this side has actually got a spring on it, so the head is on a spring. So the idea is that to adjust the head when the head's in place by doing the changing how tight the screw is. The screw's pushing against the spring will sort of push the head up. It could either be completely flat or it'll tilt it upwards. So that's how you would get it lined up properly with the cassette, with the actual tape. Then on the back of it, we've got 4 connections. Basically, it's just a pair of coils that are used for recording and playback. And I think this one was the old one was about 158 ohms each coil read, and the new one's about just over 200 ohms. So what I did, interestingly, back in probably the 80s, when I had a Sony cassette deck, I was playing around with oscillators and joining these oscillators together, and you get these amazing sort of effects as the oscillators interacted with each other, and I wanted to try and sort of record them. So I had this idea of laying down multiple tracks on a cassette with the cassette deck I had. So what I did, I put some toggle switches in the back of the unit, and one toggle switch just disconnected the erase head, and the other 2 switches were on the signal wires that came from the playback and record head. So I could record. So if I recorded something as on both as normal as on the stereo tracks, and then if I wanted to overlay something on top of that, I would flick the toggle switch and disconnect the erase head. Then I had a separate switch for the left and right on this playback and record head, so I could then basically put another layer of audio over the top of the tape, because the erase head was disconnected. It didn't erase the previous, what was there already. It did actually work amazingly. It wasn't brilliant, but it was quite an interesting experiment to do. So these are the things that go into the spools on the cassette. The eject mechanism is over here. So if I push play, you'll see that this whole mechanism here moves forwards, which would then move into where the cassette sits. So now this wheel over here, this is spinning, but you can stop it, because the tape would actually be being moved by the shaft here, which is the capstan and the rubber wheel. You can actually stop the wheel on this one. It's not an amazingly tight fit. So, and the this belt here goes off to the tape counter, so it goes across to there, and there's another belt goes that way. And on this one, the motor is just out of view on the over here. So this is in normal playback mode. The auto shut off on the cassette is this lever here. This pushes into on the cassette. There's a, when you put the tape in, that bit of plastic pushes on against the tape. I think it goes in through that slot there. So when the tape gets to the end, the tape will get pulled taut, which then pushes this lever, which turns the unit off. This one doesn't appear to have a auto stop when it gets to the end of fast forward and rewind, but it was I guess it probably wasn't. It was made by Sanyo. Sanyo weren't exactly renowned for the being top rate hi-fi. So if I rewind it, you can see this this ball on this side is spinning. This wheel drives it. It's driving this one here, so that's causing this one to rotate in that direction. If I hit the fast forward, I'll stop it, and fast forward it, it's now disconnected from this wheel here, so this one is now no longer spinning, and this wheel here is now rubbing on directly on this one here. It's not smooth, that it's got like ribs on it, like splines almost, so it gets a good friction fit against this rubber wheel on there. And also this one's quite cool. It's got like a brake. It's a big springy bit of metal here with some pads on it, which then when you hit stop, you'll see that moves. So it's quite an interesting mechanism. There's lots of little bits to it, and there's springs all over the place. So if you're pulling one apart, you need to be really careful. You know, take a lot of photographs of what you're doing, and be very careful every time you undo anything, because a spring might pop out, and some of the springs are quite powerful. So you don't want to send a spring flying. So if I put a cassette in it, and now we'll hit play, you'll see that the tape head then pushes into the tape. So the auto stop mechanism is the bit that's gone through here. So if the tape were to get to the end, it would be pulled tighter, which would then push that and would stop it. Just rewinding it. I've put new belts in it, but it's just the whole thing, I think, it's just totally worn out. So this is a look at the old mechanical tape counter, which is pretty cool. It's basically got hundreds, tens and units. So when this gets up to 9, the middle row should flip round. There we go. So I'll fast forward it. Rewind it. There's a lever on the end here to zero it, or it should zero it. Stop it. Oh, that isn't working. Okay, well that doesn't work. That should zero it, but it hasn't. Okay, so this is the underside of it. This is the flywheel. The belt goes around that, and this is so the motor's over here. So the only way to get the belt out was to take these two screws out. Then I could sort of get it through the gap, but the belt then probably got caught up under a load of mechanical bits underneath it. Okay, this is looking at the whole sort of top side view. These switches here select the type of cassette you're using, so it's either a standard cassette or chrome tape. They're just it's just one switch is the Dolby on and off. So these are toggle switches. They're really cool. You don't get these sort of switches on stuff anymore. Okay, thanks for watching this video where we look around this old ancient cassette deck. I think it's made in about the 70s, this one. Please subscribe to my channel to be alerted to any new videos I upload. Thank you.